Let's learn in this video how Kubernetes and AKS releases new versions and how they are supported. We know that in Kubernetes, the open source project, we release a new version each 3 months. So the workflow will be like this. When we have that Kubernetes, on the lifetime of that project, we would have actually multiple releases. So let's say, for example, we have here release 1.24, then 3 months or 4 months later, actually that changed a few months ago, that now that's a release each 4 months, we would have a new version of Kubernetes, a new minor version. So then we would have 1.25, and again 4 months later we would have 1.26, 4 months later 1.27, and so on. So this means in 1 year, we would have 3 minor versions of Kubernetes. And this is here a window of 4 months. Let's see now the use case for AKS. So for AKS, we'll be following almost that same release cadence, but with a minor difference. So AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, that's a managed service of Kubernetes. So to support a Kubernetes version, the AKS team will need first to pull that version, test it locally, and then release it in GA. So they will take some time before releasing it. So when we would have that 124 release it in Kubernetes mainstream, the AKS team will go to take that version, and 1 or 2 weeks later, they will release 1.24, but in preview version. Preview, it's out of AKS support. And then they will test it, validate it, and few months later, typically it's between 2 to 4 months, they will have that 124 that will be available as GA version. So to here, we would have 124 that is GA. It's ready to use in production and it is supported. And the same will be for all the Kubernetes versions. The same for 125. First we'll release preview and then we'll go to release the GA version few months later. So typically we push and we update a calendar for those updates. So you will get and that calendar telling you that 124 is supported from which month to which month. So it always takes 4 months support. So that means here we would have 1.25 GA, and the same will apply for the 26 GA, 126, and again for 127. So this means that we are almost behind by one version of Kubernetes mainstream. So the lifetime of a Kubernetes version is 4 months. That is the same for AKS, but the support is 1 year. So this means when Kubernetes releases 124 or 125, and the same for AKS, it will be supported until we release the version 128. It's a window of 1 year. 3 multiple 4 months, that's 1 year. And that means that also within AKS, we support up to the version N-2. So if today in AKS we have the latest version that is in GA is 127, this means we'll support 126 and 125, and the version 124 will be deprecated. So this means while those versions are still in support, let's say those are the supported versions. Supported means that you can open a ticket to the support team. And during that time, we would have the 124 that is deprecated or out of support. So if you contact the support team and you have 124 version of your AKS, they will ask you first to upgrade to latest version, and then you will be in support. So we said that this window here is 1 year support for each version. So it's 1 year. But actually, to be more flexible with our customers, what we do is that we give them an extra 1 month as a graceful period to upgrade their clusters. So when we say we deprecated the version 125, they will still have 1 month window in order to be able to upgrade their cluster. So it's here like 1 month plus 1 year plus 1 month for the graceful upgrades. So all of this here means that if a customer starts using AKS with version 124, for example, then when we released 127, it means that 124 is now out of support, and then he will need to upgrade his cluster going to 125, 126, and then 127. So for each version, it's supported for 1 year. Actually, that might be okay for some customers, but that might be too short for some other customers. So for that, we have introduced the AKS LTS versions. With the LTS version, we choose some specific versions of AKS, and that is actually starting from version 127. We'll choose some specific versions, and we'll say we'll support those versions not for only 1 year, but we'll go to support it for 2 years instead of 1. And that support, of course, will not be free, so it will be paid. You will need to pay for that feature. So this will allow teams and customers to update or to upgrade less frequently their AKS clusters. Okay, so now whether you use the LTS or no, you will need to upgrade your cluster. So let's see some scenarios for upgrading the cluster. So let's say today, for example, you have a non-Kubernetes supported version or non-AKS supported version like 120, for example. And then you will need to upgrade to the latest GA version. That could be 125, 26, or 27. And you are running 1.20. So what will happen in this case? 1.20 is not supported. So what we provide you from the AKS API is that you can go to upgrade to the earliest supported version. In our case, this is version 125. I'm just giving an example here. If that is 1.30, for example, then you can only upgrade to that early version in GA. So this means here he will be skipping some versions, skipping the versions that are not supported. So in this case, either you go to upgrade or you just simply go to recreate the cluster. And in most of the cases, actually, recreating the cluster is a better option. So then you can upgrade some components or some features that could not be changed only when we recreate the cluster, like changing from Kubernetes to Azure CNI or to Azure CNI overlay, or choosing a bigger subnet, or choosing VNet integration instead of load balancer. And now once you are running in a supported version 125, then you can go to upgrade to the next version, which is 126. And by the way, here you cannot skip supported versions. It means here you cannot skip 126 to upgrade from 125 to 127, for example. You need to go one by one. And then you be running version 127. Another very important note here about upgrading the cluster. So here we just support upgrading to the newest version. We do not support downgrading the cluster. So no downgrade is supported. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.